Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday. Pat, how are you, my friend?
I am good. We were almost late because I was telling you a story that I still want to finish the story, but I can't do this one on air. About the only time I was arrested that I actually deserved it in college.
Yeah, that could be like an after show. We need to do an after show sometime.
Oh, I could. All of my arrest stories could be after parties.
All of your arrest stories.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
I have 3.
Really?
Yeah, but 2 were for helping other people. So
yeah, that's lame.
It's a whole and the evil bad cop stories. So anyway.
Yeah, that's good. That could be a whole separate book.
Right. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good. I mean, we're just in the craziest, most chaotic times. Everything's happening, and on some level nothing's happening, and it's just Josh and I watched a comedian yesterday whose name is totally escaping me right now. That's terrible. It wasn't Ari Fleischman, but it was something like that. Ari Schaefer, maybe. Terrible that I can't remember. That's old age, aspartame, phentermine, COVID, all of the things together, too much alcohol. But it was, there were some great moments. He certainly tried to push some edges, but one of the things he was focused on was, don't watch the news because nothing changes and you can't do anything about it. And there was a part of me that was like,
right.
Wow, you'll be so much happier. Just like ignorance is bliss. Because the truth is, I'm in a constant state of rage. And
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of people that can completely tune this stuff out. I mean, it's terrible. I don't recommend you do it.
No,
but
yeah.
But at the same time,
admire it. Yeah, but
yeah, no, it's not admirable. It's just like happy and dumb. It's not. If you're actually not that intelligent and you're born that way, you don't know better. You're happy. Go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But kind of related to that, a couple people DM me this week, and I get this periodically, just like, how do you stay positive knowing we're losing so much and that kind of thing? I'm like, First off, you're looking to me.
Yeah, Mr. Positivity. No, you're pretty positive.
Sometimes, but
yeah.
I fall on 2 things. One, I'm lucky I can compartmentalize. I do the show, I do my politics. Then I switch it off to watch TV or go to the park and go for a hike, or I try not to intersperse politics to other areas sometimes.
Yeah, that's where I fail. But yeah, go ahead.
But when I'm stuck, the one thing I fall back on is imagine we're not changing the world, but imagine how much worse it would be if the left media and people weren't always on their asses. They're going to get away with as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And we're a small check on that when we fight back.
Yeah.
But what I was telling this person to do is do something local to feel good about changing things. Because locally you can make a change.
Yeah.
You can do something. You can help some homeless people. You can feed,
Yeah. And connect with like-minded people and find community and try to help other people 100%. But no, mostly I'm so lucky that as, horrific as things are in many parts of the world, in my own little bubble, I feel very blessed, as some people say.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh,
yes.
One thing that happened to me yesterday at work, and I mentioned this online, but I'm working with my coworker in an attic all day, and I look over at him, and Strike's messing up my green screen, of course. I look over at him, and it's just like a trap door. He falls through the ceiling. He goes right through the sheetrock down to the ground. And what I was saying is, I was wearing a mask, so I was safe, and he wasn't wearing a mask. Yeah, well, no, that's the joke of it. But yeah, he's okay. Or else I wouldn't.
Oh my God, that's crazy!
Just to see somebody just disappear like that, it looked like one of those sci-fi things where something under the water is grabbing your legs or something, and it just sucked down.
One of my big fears, when I've been at gyms that have a second floor and you're running or jumping or whatever, I'm always like, why aren't we just falling through? My grandparents lived in Manhattan on the Upper East Side for 25 years in this awesome apartment building. When I was little, we were there and they had a pool on the 15th floor and there were condos underneath that pool.
Ooh, hate to be there.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't occur to me when I was that age, but now can you imagine living underneath a pool. I don't know. All that stuff is that's crazy. Well, I'm glad he's okay. He should have been wearing a mask. He wouldn't have fallen through the floor.
Mask and 95 would have protected him.
Right. All right. So first we want to thank, oh my goodness, we are growing and growing. We thank all of our, look at this. The writing is so small, I can't see it. The columns are expanding. You guys are amazing. Our members, our pup heroes and sheroes, we are so incredibly grateful to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the people who are members, for the super chats, for the comments, for the likes and retweets. We appreciate all of it and we need all of it. So please do make sure to like and subscribe and smash that notification bell. And just as a reminder, we are also streaming on Rumble right now, and we got
2 strikes, 1 more strike and we're off of YouTube. Like just like that. It could be something in a cat video I share.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I mean, truly, like
it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
One of our strikes was it was actually an Al Jazeera Plus or Al Jazeera video, and I think we have another one today, which totally fair use. And whenever we not combat it, refute it, rebut it, right to complain, use the proper channels, all that good stuff. Eventually, in all of the ones that we have done that for, they have reinstated the video and said it wasn't our fault and they understand it's fair use, but that can take a long time. And if in the meantime we get a 3rd strike, it's just over. And like, there's no channel to then try to appeal. So anyway.
Yeah. And obviously it's all AI driven. Like, I don't really think there's an evil force looking for words in our videos.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
we're sharing news, which is fair use. You are allowed to share news from other sources.
Yes, absolutely. Hope, thank you for the super sticker. Cheers to you. Cheers. I'll take another sip.
Here. And Reflect the Sun. Thank you so much. Like, you really bring a lot of the followers to us by your donations, and that's
those
really appreciated.
Huge sweeping gifts of membership donations are really, really helpful. So thank you. And yes, I see Saul or somebody say build our paying members on something like Patreon. Yeah, we're gonna do that, and also start trying to get an email list going so that if we do have to move to a different location, we can let you all know.
Easily sell your information to the DNC.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to scrape all your data. But yeah, if you feel, we will be putting all that together and blasting it out. It's just, the 2 of us wearing all the hats. So sometimes it takes us longer than we would hope. But all right. So with that said, yesterday was Holocaust Memorial Day. And, it's such an, first of all, a sad memorial occasion. And there are so many complicating factors happening in the present. One of which is that any emissary from Russia is banned from coming to the Holocaust International Memorial Day, which is insane. I think it's in Poland.
I mean, the Russians ended the war. Why would you ban them from coming?
Yep, because Putin. And I think we have said, the U.S. has said he's doing a genocide in Russia, but they don't say that even though the ICC and the ICJ are, and every other major human rights organization in the world are in agreement that Israel is doing a genocide against Palestinians, the emissaries from the current genocidal state, Israel, were invited. So that already just puts cast a strange pall on this day of remembrance.
Yeah. There's nothing to believe in anymore. I mean, it used to be sacrament that, the Holocaust is bad, and then Jewish Zionists commit another Holocaust. And we're now we're trying to sanction the ICC and the ICJ and passing laws saying it'd be illegal to recognize a genocide when an organization was created to protect the world from genocide, and they're calling it out.
It's really, we are in very, very strange times, but our cheers today are to Jewish survivors of the Holocaust who came to commemorate this day, but also to say never again means never again for anyone, and do not commit this genocide in our name, as they call out to Israel and the US and the UK, who are all complicit.
On Holocaust Memorial Day, we call attention to the Palestinian genocide, as well as the Jewish genocide of the Holocaust, some of whose survivors and descendants stand here with us today.
We must speak up because we are doing to others what was done to us.
Cenotaph means empty tomb. We think of all the men, women and children killed and buried without a grave beneath the rubble in Gaza.
We felt it was really important on the 80th anniversary of Holocaust Memorial Day to hold a demonstration marking the loss of Jews in the Holocaust, but also on the principle of never again for anyone. We stand against the genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza.
What of your homeland, children of Palestine? What of your homeland? Come tell it to me.
Genocide is never the solution, as we Jews should know, and it's not in our name. Not all Jewish people agree. The Israeli lobby is very, very powerful, very sophisticated, very well resourced. This conflation of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel, Israel's worked very hard on that, you know, and it's a lie.
A genocidal war criminal was invited to visit a monument to genocide today. It is a shander, a disgrace.
Mr. Tusk, by offering him safe conduct, placed himself on the wrong side of history and on the wrong side of international law. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
The greatest justice to the memories of those exterminated by the Holocaust is to ensure that every war criminal, every perpetrator and beneficiary of genocide is brought to justice in The Hague. And our responsibility is to build a world of life, abundance and love where the crimes of genocide are unthinkable and impossible.
If I must die, let it bring hope. Let it be a tale.
So cheers to all those people. One of the gentlemen, probably the oldest one that we saw there, Stephen Kapos, is an actual Holocaust survivor. I think he's in his mid 80s, and he's from the UK, and he is out at the protests, at every single protest. I think he was one of the people who was arrested just a few months ago for incitement in his language or terrorism in his language, which is, you know, absurd. But they are really cracking down on all of the international outcry against a genocide. So, you know, cheers to the people who keep showing up and who certainly know of what they speak.
Amen. Hear, hear. Much appreciated. Cheers.
On that happy note, should we start the show?
Let's do it. I switched out our hashtag video for this one today.
All right.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
All right. Let's bring a little more joy.
I don't know why that makes me happy.
It's just a little bit of silliness to get us going. I think everybody should just start with a big full anything that you're choosing to imbibe, ingest to get us started. Right. And you're picking the puppets?
Yeah, I'll pick up the puppets. This one's birds being dicks.
All right.
Ow.
Yay! Whee! Ha, ha, ha. They are naughty. Can you teach them where to go to the bathroom, or do they just fly and poo all over the house if they're in your house?
I had a girlfriend with the bird, and that's my entire experience with the bird. So I don't know. And her bird, I was just always worried it was going to get hit by the fan. So we had to make sure the fan was off.
Yeah. My mom lived in Brazil for a while. They had monkeys, and she said the monkeys would just like fly across the room and just like shit was going everywhere as they went.
Terrorize things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't love pet birds. I'm going to put that out there.
Really? Oh boy. I think you're going to make
Sorry. I love birds, but like pet birds, sometimes I'm like, is this like you're telling me I need to get my cat indoors and you're taking a bird that can't fly and he's indoors? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to get canceled by bird lovers because birds are cool.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel sad when animals that should be, out and about are caged up, but Stephen, I see you say all over, so I'm hoping and assuming that I'm not blown out anymore. It was really bad when we first started. We're trying, but we need some color correction adjustments over here between Pat and me. We need to make that match a little better. Our eye lines, I'm always trying to like get myself centered exactly where you are. The eye lines, just don't look too closely. Okay, here we go. We are going to start with let's start with the craziness that Trump and his co-president are bringing into the country. Just chaos after chaos after chaos. It seems like not everybody's on the same page. I don't know if everyone knew there's already a new press secretary. I totally forgot that we were done with Karine Jean-Pierre. We have another lovely young woman. They all apparently have to look a certain way after they got rid of Sean Spicer. They were like, no, we will only have attractive women from now on. But so first, yesterday, there was this announcement that all federal grants and federal monies were frozen, which
is wild. That's so many services rely on this, like
tens of millions of people into disarray. That's Medicaid, it's Medicare, it's people weren't sure, is it SNAP benefits, is it the people who are working in these offices, what are they doing? Is it money that's already been approved by Congress that's still allowed to go out the door? Miss Leavitt was unable fully to, placate people's fears or confusion because she also didn't know. And then today, a judge froze that. Trump's rescinding of all federal grant money. So now there is, but it's only to like February, 3rd or 18th or something, just for a very short amount of time. So everybody better get it together. Temporarily blocked. Yeah. So I think it was the 3rd, which is like a week away. So we're just going to do this in fits and starts, I guess. Oh, I love it when you have something important to say and you're on mute. Oh, yeah.
And that's why I was going to say something.
Yeah.
I'll save my racist joke for later. But it's so obvious that what Trump is doing now is every evil thing he can do to both please his base short term so that he can also then do every corporate friendly thing on the table. And he's starting out with all these vile things and he's saying, courts, overrule me, go ahead. But until then, we're here for evil. We're doing corporate bidding.
Yep.
That's it. And so anybody that thinks this populist guy is going to bring us healthcare or bring us anything fucking good, you have to be really not following. You have to be so biased that it's like, this is a religion. It is a cult. To believe that this guy's going to help you, the golden toilet guy.
Yeah. It's a cult.
It's
with the huge tariffs that are, of course, only going to hurt you, with wanting to bring in people who are going to be working for slave labor wages or, very reduced wages, which will only hurt you. I wonder what is going to happen when he kicks out all the immigrants here legally or illegally, apparently, raises tariffs, and people still can't afford a house or an apartment or to put food on the table. Eggs there was 1 dozen eggs for sale for almost $13 in my grocery store.
and honestly, we should all just prepare to not eat eggs anymore. That's what's coming with bird flu. Poultry, eggs, get it out of your diet now. While you can transition to something else.
Yeah. But he's not doing anything, of course, and neither do Democrats, to actually, raise wages. There's no talk about a minimum wage increase or, prohibiting big businesses from buying up single family homes or becoming mass rental, landlords, or healthcare for everybody, or any protections or social safety nets or universal policies that everybody needs. This is all just to help his billionaire donors. So it's really going to be interesting when the racist policies play out and still the diehard supporters can't afford a dozen eggs.
I mean, and obviously some of the people most affected by this are in some of the Western states, Southern states, a lot red states. The red state people benefit more by these social programs than liberals do.
Yeah. Which is not to say, obviously, I think,
no, it's not a judgment on
at all.
Good.
We're not
I'm not saying good.
No, I know. I just want to clarify. We're not the fuck around, find out people oh, you shouldn't have voted for him. That's not what we're saying. But I am curious how his base will turn on him, or if they will. Maybe they won't, because they're not being offered anything from the other party anyway. So at least, they get some of their anger out at a misplaced, misdirected anger towards immigrants.
Yeah. In the end, I think his support's going to drop a lot, but it's going to take a long way to get there. They're going to give him the benefit of the doubt forever because, hey, he deported some Mexicans. That's how their brains work in a lot of these cases. Good.
Yeah. But, yeah. It's going to be really ugly for a while, especially because clearly Democrats have no response. They have been talking about Project 25 for a full year, and the literal Hitler coming to the White House.
Honestly, Lila, they formed a committee this week. So I'm not sure you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's a committee now. There's a committee.
Yeah. So when the chaos starts and all of these federal grants are rescinded yesterday, first there was an announcement that there's going to be an emergency virtual caucus meeting tomorrow. This was done at 9:41 a.m. yesterday. This tweet was put out, and it was for the following day, 24 hours and 26 hours and 19 minutes later. That's the emergency. hold on, we're coming. Chuck Schumer.
That's the pace I want. Hey, people are getting deported and dying and sent to Guantanamo around the corner here. Let's get together down the road. Hey, what are you guys doing tomorrow night?
Yeah. And we'll do it virtually in like 26 hours. Just see if you can show up. That'd be so excellent. Chuck Schumer tweets, hospitals, police, firefighters, senior centers, food pantries, nonprofits that help disabled veterans, mass transit, on and on and on. Virtually any organization, and there are millions that depend on federal grant money to run its day-to-day operations, is now in danger because of Donald Trump's cruel order. This is not to take away from Donald Trump's cruel order. He's a disgusting, horrible person that the Democrats were absolutely fine with. Democrats have now handed power over to Donald Trump. Somebody wrote this, and I wish I knew who it was to give credit to, and I know we've talked about it, but to put it like these three things. There are three things they've done in the 21st century. Enacted a Heritage Foundation health policy, which was Obamacare, handed the reins of power over to Trump twice, and then there was one other thing. But like, what is their record of success? Is nothing. Bupkis. Then this is so crazy to me. So, Schumer is going to come give a big speech. He puts up his poster board here. Again, they knew that this was what was happening. They were warning everybody, even though they were doing nothing to prevent it, about Project 2025 for a full year, right? So they knew. So they had no plan to oppose, to fight back, to resist, to enshrine anything before they left power. So he puts up his big sign, and then the coup de grace from Chuck Schumer is, hey, look, it's actually the Republicans who are defunding the police. Got him. There you go. That's what you want in a Democrat.
Yeah, look, Trump is doing nothing good, but like the idea that the party, like the parties could flip. I mean, Republicans could pretend to be the party of working people. I don't know. Who knows? Everything they're doing right now is so overtly evil that I don't see how they become the sort of working class people after Trump, But like, yeah, defund the police is, if the Democrats lean into that, rephrase it however they wanted to. But the public was for getting money away from first responder police forces, giving it to first responder healthcare workers, first responder social services people who can deal with 90% of the things cops get called for. Don't need a cop with a gun, but they get handled by a cop with a gun because he's called to the scene and they make money off it. And we've seen LA's police budget is like bigger than most nations' military budgets. While they can't afford to put a fire out.
They're not gonna put money into schools or housing or social services. None of that. Just cops. Then the DNC, of course, takes Bernie's slogan. Donald Trump is putting together an administration focused on Wall Street, not Main Street, which is no different from the Democrats, except the Democrats will tweet the nice. We care. Healthcare is a human right, they will say, as they also say that they will veto Medicare for all if it ever happens to cross their desk, right?
Which, if there's one thing I believe they will do, that's a promise they will keep. Because we know in California, we literally in California got it passed to where the votes were there and they swore they had the votes. We pressured all these politicians in the state.
Supermajority.
We had a super majority, and they said, you know what? We got to throw that in committee and figure out some things. And then it just died.
Yeah. As soon as they get the necessary people, they made the mistake of not putting money behind a couple of Republicans in a couple of different districts so that they would always have somebody that they could blame for it not passing. So
that was before the rotating villain strategy really took off. But now we've got some Fettermans out there. We got more and more. There's the roster of not good Democrats lined up. They're going to be the wealthiest people, within the party, like, because they're going to reject every Democratic ideal, obviously.
It's going to
or
be all
money
real
for
estate
their
and tech bro
donors.
people and Hollywood people. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to get the most attention. They're going to be saying this guy should be president. He should be the Democratic leader in the future, like they're doing right now with Fetterman, of all fucking people.
It's so obscene and absurd to admit. And now we've seen, was it Tara Palmieri, who wrote for Puck, who we did the clip of last show, where she says he's not really popular, but he's authentic. Just he wears
the only
hoodies.
problem is the base doesn't like him at all, but we should run him.
But that's the guy who's going to save the Democratic Party. The Washington, just so you know, in addition to the tweets and the strongly worded letters and the committees, this is where part of the inspiration for the title of the show, Hakeem Jeffries basically is just, Jesus will come save us. Presidents come and presidents go. Through it all, God is still on the throne. Thanks for all the help. Why do we even need a democracy? Just pray harder. Don't vote. Just pray. Pray harder.
First off, separate religion and politics. That's the top thing I want. I don't want religion in my politics. We've seen where that goes. Because of religion and politics, you have Trump, because he was able to get the religious right to buy into him, of all fucking people, as being some holy fucking God, picturing the Jesus meme over his shoulder, hugging Trump, like the most absurd thing to ever be believed by the public on any level is that this guy's a man of God,
embodies the values of Christianity. But I will say that I strongly am opposed to any religion in the state at all. And I'm not religious, but if we don't get money out of politics, it's not going to matter anyway. But they're never going to let us do that, because why would you go into politics if you weren't going to short sell NVIDIA and make a few $1 million right before DeepSeek blows AI out of the water? Okay, so this is fascinating, what you were just referring to, this new list. And so, every day we're getting new thought pieces on how, what are we going to do in 2028? Nothing about what are we going to do right now. Not a single thing. There's no Democratic leader. We have nobody who's coming out forcefully talking about what the party believes in, because the truth is the party believes in nothing except for pleasing their donors. Not a single thing. They will throw it all under the bus, right? So what can they say to all of this?
Yeah, well, it's just so obvious that this whole thing is sports, because it's like, okay, there's a championship every 2 years and 4 years, basically, championship for the senators. I mean, every 2 years you vote on Congress people, right? Midterms. Every 4 years you vote for who wins the whole thing. And that's all that matters, but that part doesn't even really matter, because they all win in the consultant class. They all win because they get to be popular. But to not factor in how people get through the next 4 years now, to say we have 2 days to get to talking about the emergency situation.
Yeah.
Like, all of this is so transparent that they're doing nothing to try to help everybody in all these situations across the board, from all these executive orders. They're not doing a damn thing.
And, Democrats in this regard have been so much worse than Republicans, who have really taken the long game and encouraged their crazy people to get into school boards and municipal government, city councils and all of that kind of stuff, and take over at the small level. And then it keeps building out. And Democrats are anti-protest, anti-boo, don't boo, vote. And the big sign that you are civically involved for Democrats, just as you're saying, is once every 2 years or 4 years to show up, and then you put your little sticker on and you feel really good about yourself because you voted blue. And that's the whole spectrum of civic engagement that Democrats actually want from their base.
Right. And if their base if they were to encourage their base to run for office and take these positions and whatnot, what would happen is they would run for office and then run on the ideals they thought the Democratic Party stood for.
Yep.
And then as soon as you get into office or try to run for office, you see that the party puts every pressure against you if you believe one thing that's not a fucking centrist corporate interest
Yep.
the party puts all their money in the world against you.
Look at that. They're already trying to black you out. Censorship.
Elon Musk and StreamYard.
Okay, so this was from the Washington Post. Oh, and now you see. Wait, I just have to say that Pat has a blue screen, not a green screen anymore.
Look at that.
Shaking
That's why you can
things
see
up.
my green beer now.
That was the whole purpose for switching that up. Okay, so the 12 Democrats. This, God, I want a job like this. Can you imagine having a column at the Washington Post, Aaron Blake? And this is what you write. The 12 Democrats who make the most sense for 2028. There's a vacuum atop an adrift Democratic Party. Here's who could fill it. Wait till you see what he says. Number 4 on the list, Kamala Harris, which, shocking, right? That usually it's the last person to run for national office. But okay, her loss was a disappointment to her party, but it's not clear how much better Democrats could have done given the environment, not their lack of ideology or popular policies. She wasn't an unpopular candidate, and she in fact overcame many early fears that she would be. But favorable numbers might not tell the whole story, and you could forgive Democrats for not wanting to line up behind her again. The big question now is whether she'll run for California governor in 2026, which would probably preclude a 2028 bid. That's how they're going to try to get rid of her so they can put Newsom there. Then we have got.
But wait.
Yeah.
I just unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
She wasn't an unpopular candidate.
No, she was super popular.
But she was extremely unpopular. We knew initially she got the bump. She got the not Biden bump, which carried her for until she gave her first interview and she fell apart, that was the formula. It was baked into this whole thing. If she talked, she lost.
We saw it in 2019 and beginning of 2020. We knew what was going to happen. She didn't change. She didn't suddenly become a principled person of integrity. Okay, next.
All right, next.
We have this is their favorite always. He's on every list, is John Fetterman. Somehow he's only at number 5 here. So the freshman senator from Pennsylvania overcame a stroke that left him struggling to speak in 2022 and crippling depression to emerge as one of the most interesting senators. While he was reputed as a liberal, he's carved out a significant independent streak as a senator. He recently went on Joe Rogan's podcast. Imagine that. Imagine. This is like what they think is like the key to success. Meanwhile, they had somebody who did that very well in 2020 and they shit all over him. He's encouraged.
Well, they're pushing the guy who's saying chill on Trump while they're saying all hands on deck for emergency because Trump's doing every fucking evil thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious that none of this matters to these guys. It's just who can we con the public into thinking is a lefty-ish and represents them.
All marketing and vibes. Just
well, he wears a hoodie. He's not elite. He's not bougie. He likes Trump. Look, the guy even likes Trump. We should vote for that guy.
Yeah. We'll get them. We'll become more Republican. They always want to go for that small sliver of people that they think they can get, the, Mitt Romney Republicans,
And obviously it's not because they think they can get them. It's because they think they can sell the public on this concept and not change and go left.
100%. Like, if
grabbing a beer,
anybody takes anything from any of this, it is only that they want to. They do not want to win if it means losing their corporate donors. Just the way I don't want to win with a Democrat just because the person has a D in front of his name if that person is a sellout corporate, anti-healthcare, pro-genocidal Democrat. It means nothing to me to be like, well, at least it's a Democrat. Who the hell cares? They don't want to win with a Democrat who would take away any of the padding from their bank accounts. Yeah. Okay, so that is Kamala Harris. Fetterman, who, he said he's not rooting against the president. He even went to Mar-a-Lago. That might not be what Democratic Party primary voters are looking for, but Fetterman's doing interesting things and could seemingly make an argument for how the party should talk to Trump voters. Democrats could certainly look at his large personality and willingness to challenge their internal status quo as a plus. Okay, this Pete Buttigieg, who is now going to be running for senator in Michigan. He's he's moved himself from Indiana to Michigan. So now he feels Michigan to his core, just in time to run for Senate there as a stepping stone to run in 2028. Former transportation secretary is as gifted a surrogate as Democrats have and is studied at speaking to Trump voters, often on Fox News. Again, it is just so wild that they had Bernie who could do all of this and they shit all over him. And now they're just with a straight face going to say that that's what they want.
It took them 8 years to come around to, well, we have to acknowledge that the public wants this shit that Bernie pushed for 8 years ago. But let's give it to them in a package of the guy who says he's pro-Trump.
Right. Or Medicare for all who want it.
Yeah. I mean, the guy the whitest guy on earth, who
is
had
reviled,
no values.
Yeah. Reviled by his constituents in Terre Haute or wherever he was. Yeah.
Yeah. And claimed that he had all this black support that he never had.
Oh my God. Do you remember that?
I will never forget I was at the Democratic convention in LA. Right. Yeah. And they were I was like 10 feet away from him and he was hugging up to, Andrew Yang and all. They're all buddies. They don't give a shit about any of the stuff they talk about. They're all just chumming it up. Yeah. Most of the time. And it was just after the story had broke about him getting all these fake supporters. And the press just ignored the fucking story. It was like top front and central, and you got CNN right on my left and all these guys, and they're just like not asking him anything about it. Like it just didn't happen as far as they were concerned.
It was so crazy. I'm sure everybody remembers, but just as a reminder, he sent an email out to like 450 Black leaders, national Black leaders, and said, please reply by 3 p.m. today to tell me if you want to endorse me. Or if you don't.
It's such a third grade move.
Yeah, it was like an hour away. People hadn't even checked their email. So then he was like, I didn't hear back from them. That means it's like the default endorsement of all of these leaders put out a press release about the endorsement of all these national Black leaders.
Black figures and most of them opposed him.
Yeah.
Like even with the Democratic Party, mojo sprinkled on him to be the next guy. Well, he didn't have their support or he wouldn't have put it out there in that way, but to publish it, the balls of it, and for the media to just largely gloss over it.
It's so crazy.
Absurd. But anyway, the press that day, and like I was in a room with, we're talking like 30 press people, and somehow I had press credentials, which is wild. There's no security for these people.
Fake news, No, I'm kidding.
There's no security, but all they cued up. The whole thing was the press was going to ask him because he had just passed Bernie in public support in Iowa or something, right when that happened.
No,
so that was the whole. That was the whole frame. Well, somewhere. I don't.
Okay, because remember, I'm just sorry because I despise him so much, and I feel like I lived through all of this, like moment by moment. They shut down the poll, like the best known Iowa poll, 3 days before the caucuses because it showed Bernie was up over him. So I'm sure you're right. It was some other place or whatever, but they shut it down.
Yes. But whatever the moment was, some poll somewhere that was pretty obscure had just that day released that he'd passed Bernie.
Right.
So that was the whole point of this whole press conference, which they interviewed every presidential candidate, and Bernie for some reason was the only one to skip it. Yeah. But that was it. The whole press was there for that moment. They want to get a sound bite. And sure enough, I turned on all the news networks that night, and they're all showing that clip of, Bernie, you just passed Bernie according to this poll.
Yeah.
That was that. It's all manufactured. It's just like, when you have those defining moments of things you see in real life that you can never come back from.
Yeah.
The press, it was being there and knowing what's going on. And that was their moment they built up for. And that's the whole purpose of the whole thing.
So disgusting, and it's so transparent. It's just awful. All right, whatever. Anyway, now not whatever, but like we'll run through this because it's all so meaningless. But here's Gretchen Whitmer, of course. Her the governor's stock probably suffered in the 2024 election, though no fault of her own. Democrats now lost to Trump twice with the only 2 female nominees they've ever run, and some wondered whether sexism is to blame. It seems likely they'll be skittish about putting up another one for the foreseeable future. Rightly or wrongly. Thanks, Aaron Blake. But Whitmer's qualifications, which I always love hearing, are also some of the most substantial on this list. And because she's term limited, she'll be out of a job come 2027. The number one, which is hilarious, is this Obama wannabe murder hiding former AG of Pennsylvania, who is now their governor, who is also pro-genocide.
Wild.
Wild. More than a few Democrats have asked, what if Harris had picked the Pennsylvania governor instead of Walz? It's doubtful any running mate would have made that much of a difference to her disaster of a campaign. And it's not like Walz was a clear liability. I mean, by the way, didn't want to go through all 12. He was actually the best thing that she had, and that's why they shut him up.
By far. So their top guy is he's the anti-Walz guy. The opposite. We are living in a bizarre world. This guy, Josh Shapiro, was the hardest core Zionist.
Yep.
And undoubtedly the number one reason Kamala lost was Palestine. Like there's other reasons.
100%.
But the top one, and on top of that, you're lobbing up this guy who never got vetted. He got rejected for the VP spot because of his association with the murder, getting his buddy off for basically
a family friend whose son was
declared a
murdering
suicide.
his girlfriend. Yeah, and they declared it a suicide, even though she was stabbed like 20 times, and half of those times were in her back.
Yeah, she stabbed like 20 times. Like nobody stabs themselves 20 times to kill themselves in the back, etc.
Yeah.
And he, in his role as governor, and I forget what he was before, but
Attorney General. That was when he was Attorney General. Yeah.
He's very on notice as being a part of all this stuff, which is a big reason he didn't get the
shut that
VP
down
nod.
when he was AG. That was when he was AG.
But I mean,
right?
I'm just saying he's very complicit in the whole thing.
100%. Yeah, no, he is.
So that vetting hasn't gone away, and it never saw the light of day. Really, it got enough press to kill his nomination.
Yep.
But because he pulled his nomination and they didn't give it to him, it never got vetted. The story's there. It will sink any presidential campaign running on it forever. Like he's done.
I mean, I'd love to say that I believe that, but like Biden had two campaigns that were ended because he was a liar and a plagiarist. And now we're just like, whatever. So he has sexual harassment and rape charges, but so does Trump. So that's not going to be, they're both liars.
But even on the, of course, and anything could happen. This is the world we're in right now. Trump is president. So who knows?
Yeah.
But even on the aesthetics qualities, like he's Gavin Newsom. Kind of,
he's Gavin.
He's a slick Rick kind of guy. He's Pete Buttigieg in a tighter suit, like he's not liked by popular, Americana folks, like regular old Joes. They're just Josh
grasping
fans
at straws, because the truth is, and again, like I know we always say this, like, we're all past Bernie, yada, yada. But when Bernie was doing well, when he was doing what we all were hoping in 2016, then 2019 and 2020, he wasn't slick. He was this hunched over 80-year-old who sounded kind of angry all the time. And people loved him because he believed the things he was saying. He had policies and integrity and, young kids. Like I still remember that one video of all the kids who are looking at like the Lincoln Memorial or whatever. And all of a sudden one of them looks and she's like, it's fucking Bernie Sanders. And all these teenagers just go running. And he's like grasping this one kid. And it like breaks my heart because you don't need marketing if you believe in something that people are desperate for.
Right. And here we are, they're selling us Fetterman as believable. It's like they learned the most wrong lesson from Bernie, because Bernie was impeachable on his beliefs because he believed them forever.
Yeah.
He fought for these beliefs. You can go back 40 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He said the same thing all the time.
The same thing. And he lived his life. He was like, a humble guy. And
most free houses in his winter coat. So
don't make me defend him.
I know. I'm sad. We have nobody. There is no leader. There's just no leader. And I don't even care of the Democratic Party because I'm not a Democrat anymore. But like there is no true working class leader right now. And that's depressing. And I know everybody needs to come together and all that kind of stuff. But the truth is, it's good to have a person to get behind, even if that person can be replaceable. Of course, you want, like when Bernie had his heart attack and couldn't go out, you want to have lots of surrogates who believe in the same policies, can say the same things, so that if Bernie died in office, if he had gotten there, you know, we know what the project is, right? Just like they have Project 2025,
Right.
the left has a project. And
which is why
Democrats
this
don't have
whole
a
thing
project.
with, you know, Bernie getting the nom and then Kamala has his VP, he's dead in a week.
Yeah.
Because who would have backed Bernie up back then? I don't know, but he would have compromised and picked a centrist. And unfortunately, Bernie has let this, or, you know, his movement is dead through him. It's not dead because we're all out here fighting on our own.
Yeah.
But
it's dead as a real electoral viability right now.
Exactly. It's we had a shot with him to possibly get in and wedge our way into the Democratic Party somehow. But that they have, seeing how close we got to Bernie, they have locked us the fuck out of it entirely. It's never going to happen. Do not think we're going to do something within the Democratic Party.
No. Oh God, no. We're not doing anything inside the Democratic Party. And to see, unfortunately, how little third party, you know, I think it really is going to be a working class movement, as many of us have been saying all along. But there was something, I think part of the reason, you know, it just felt like there was an opportunity and that we had a democracy. And on whatever that day was, March 4th, 2020, that is the day. And I was late to it. I know, obviously, Native American citizens, Black citizens, other, you know, Chinese immigrants, like other people in this country have felt the lack of our democracy for decades. That was, to me, like that. I was like, oh, it's over. Like, we don't have a democracy. We clearly don't have a democracy. We do, however, have Madison Avenue and marketing. And that is where Democrats are going to throw all of their weight behind. This is who they are now touting, this agency, as the hope for, again, not fighting the next 4 years. Every day is an atrocity out of Trump. They're not even focused on that. 2028 and marketing. And this,
this is the teaser campaign for 2028. That's it. It's not like, hey, we're going to fight for you now. We're going to help you now. It's look at what's coming. This new movie is releasing 4 years from now.
Yeah. And this is the agency that's going to put it all in a nice package and sell it to these American idiots just so we can have a D in front of the name.
It's like when you watch a cool preview and you're like, oh, look at that. And they're like, coming 2 years from now in the summer. And you're like, fuck you. Why are you showing that to me now? Like, eat a bag of dicks. I don't, what? Do I have to watch an ad for this movie I want to see that's
ICE
4 years
coming
away
into
from me?
the fucking hospital and the kindergarten, and we're watching a glossy movie. But here it is.
You good?
Let's go.
Action.
This is why people hate politics.
Donald Trump will become the 47th president.
Republicans will pull off a political trifecta, controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House.
How can the left possibly come back from this?
Part of his rise, a creative ad campaign.
Tenacious, focused, unstoppable.
If you're doing everything right,
I'm never giving up. I'm never going to forget.
But find it harder and harder to get by.
These folks have been chanting every county, every vote.
You're not alone.
Won in a landslide.
He's straight up. He cares about the people.
The only thing that can stop them is us.
When you're poor, you really need a belief in a better future.
As all the attacks come at me, they don't understand what fire I come from.
My phone exploded last night. People said, you have to see this ad.
What? Bernie reminds me. He reminds me with this voiceover. He's like becoming the voice of like progressive policy. He's like Morgan Freeman for movies, but he's and I was just thinking Morgan Freeman himself, who's out there saying he's on TV. He's not a well-spoken guy interviewing. He's kind of an introverted kind of guy or whatever in real life, but he's like, Elon is the greatest genius on earth. I hold Tesla stock. Tesla's my, have you seen what Elon did? He got people to Mars, and so Bernie's that guy.
That's what Bernie said that? No. Sorry,
Morgan
I'm
Freeman,
reading
I'm
people's
sorry.
comments. I'm not even listening to you. I'm going to focus on you.
That's
Sorry.
fair. That is fair.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
I also read comments while I listen to myself.
It does feel like that. It's really disappointing because I do believe that he believes that, but he has not been the champion that we all needed and deserved. But yeah, to have Fetterman in there, to have Dan Osborne, I don't know a ton about, but he was running as an independent in Nevada and was a pro-union working class guy. I think he didn't maybe have he probably would have caucused with Democrats, but outpaced other Democrats in similar situations around the country, even though he didn't win. So I could see him as a possibility. Bernie for all of his faults. Yes. But Nebraska. I think you're right, Kimmy. Thank you. Yes, you're right. Nebraska.
But the only thing that's going to win people over, it's not this glossy ad of like the rugged guy welding and horses and shit,
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do to actually fight for policy and stop Trump bad policy?
Yeah.
Like, show me your wins, show me your track record. Like branding now for 4 years from now, fuck off. It's so insulting.
Well, I don't know, Pat. I don't know what you're thinking because brilliant political mind Jon Favreau, he thinks that this ad is great. This crew has a pretty impressive track record of winning tough races with the kind of creative working class messaging that Dems need now. So that's where we're headed.
You're going to message now? Messaging? You
That's all
are
it is.
the opposition
Louder.
party. It's not messaging. It's stopping policy, finding creative ways to unify people, use your, if your messaging is, here's how we're all going to do something. The public get together. We're going to stop Wall Street somehow. We're going to stop corporate takeover of properties. Here's what we do. That's some messaging that could work. But this messaging of like, these are cool guys and they're down to earth. And this guy welds and this guy rides a bike and Fetterman wears a fucking hoodie and shorts to Congress. Ha, fuck you, Congress. That's a guy we can get behind because he's just a little guy like you.
Yep. Because of
nobody cares.
Meanwhile,
nobody fucking
everybody
cares.
else puts on a suit when they go to that kind of work. Like show a little respect the way you do for genocidal maniac Netanyahu. But
yeah, but if he was Mick Wallace going there in the shorts, I'd be like, cool, great.
Yeah,
who gives a fuck,
But it wouldn't matter. It's because you don't care about how it's dressed. You want the policy and the integrity, which most people do. The only people who don't are the pod save guys, the corporate Democrats, Wall Street. I mean,
we got the pod save guys are out there saying, oh, what people need to do is they got to recognize that Republicans just repeated the same message and hit you with it a million fucking times.
Talk louder. Go on more podcasts.
Say it more. Repeat.
What are you
repeat the messaging that lost you?
What was Kamala going to repeat? A tax incentive?
I'm the same as Biden. I'm the same as Biden. I'm the same as Biden. I'm the same. $10, $25. Give me 50. You got 100? You got $100 to save democracy
and deregulation.
Hey, now that I lost, you still got $50? Can I have $50?
The thing that, and I know you were just saying these words, I know what you really believe, but they all know what we know, which is the Bernie policies, the left policies, those universal policies, social welfare policies are majority popular. They all know that. They know what would win, but they do not want to win if it means that they can't continue hoovering up all the money. So this is their thing is, it's because they didn't go on Joe Rogan. Oh, it's because she didn't go on enough. It's because we need a glitzy thing. We're going to have to see her on a horse and welding and in a hoodie and she's wearing her chucks and she's got they know the truth. So it's not learning a lesson. They know they know what they are trying to obfuscate so that they can focus on. It's about, we need a Joe Rogan of the left. Of course, now they're also like, oh, the Chapo Trap House isn't going to save the Democratic Party. Chapo Trap House isn't Democratic affiliated. They liked Bernie. They were behind Bernie, but they don't care about all this bullshit. So like,
they don't care about much, to be honest, but I kind of think fuck you guys too to them. But
I mean,
they're COVID bullshitters. They were so bad on COVID, and I saw them live in person once, and I don't know.
I know. I mean,
kind of have a beef with one of the guys personally, but that's a whole other thing.
I know, and he's the
one.
one.
We have a podcast. I should air it.
Suffered a stroke, so we should just be, that would be in the B
after show. Show.
Yeah, and Joe Rogan was the Joe Rogan of the left. So anyway, okay, let's move on. What do you want to move on to?
Okay, yeah, let's spin the wheel and do some.
Yeah, because we actually still have a lot. Ooh, whoa! Look at
so many different buttons. I have no idea.
I know, it's the wheel one. Wheel. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, baby.
We need a break so we can sip.
We need a break because we still have so many political things to talk about.
It's all about the animals today.
It's all about the animals today. Those horses weren't enough.
Cute dogs, sleeping dog. There's a lot of dogs here. Let's go with cute dogs.
Slow down, break!
Can you speak?
Ow! Ow!
Maybe say sit?
No, it's not.
Sky?
Very cute. Oh, look at Strike. So cute.
Bye to say hello.
Hi, Strike.
She hates me for doing this. Ow.
Should we? What do you want to move on to? We do have a little bit more DNC stuff, but let's move on. Should we move on to more GOP stuff?
Yeah, why not? Because they're wrecking the world right now. I mean, the Democrats, their crime is not stopping the wrecking of the world because they want 85% of the wrecking to happen. But let's see who's doing, and they lobbed this up. Like, when just on Israel and Palestine, Trump will finish the job. How is that a talking point? The job that you fucking started, enabled, and did all the fucking bombing, and so he's gonna finish doing what you started. That's how you're gonna win over people that don't support this cause. So, but that fits for everything, whether it's the deportations, the economy.
Yeah, fuck around, find out. I hope you're happy now. Oh, the irony. I mean, the gloating from Blue MAGA is so repulsive when, I mean, again, the only thing, and we're seeing glimmers of it. There is outrage about bird flu every once in a while. Rachel Maddow had a thing. Outrage about deportations. I mean, Biden deported more people than Trump did. And there was zero talk about it. And Obama deported more people than Trump did. Zero talk about it. But now they're talking about it again. And good, they should. The same people who were like supporting the, disgusting border bill and saying, do not come. But now we're, at least acting outraged again.
Yeah.
And it's horrific. I mean, it's horrible.
and it hits every issue. You know, it's like every vile thing that Trump is doing. Like, to me, the stopping communication of federal health safety organizations with each other and with the public is the most unforgivable of them all. I mean, but that's just me, but there are a million of them that are just as vile.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, it's like, well, the press effectively stopped communicating that information anyway. So these were people talking to themselves about COVID, like, oh, COVID's a real disaster. We need to fucking get masking back. Well, the press just said, we'll ignore that anyway. So like the change is more obvious now to people, but they still don't care about the COVID information because the press has told them this stuff is unimportant anyway. Now we have bird flu on the table. Maybe we can leverage that to get them to press regular Joes to pressure the media to cover bird flu. But
it's going to be the prices. And also, I think, unfortunately, you know, and this is the thing that we keep talking about, the battle in the press. Like, before, they were all in on being the resistance and hyping up the lie of Russiagate and all that kind of stuff, because they thought that there was money in that, right? MSNBC saw really good numbers. I think Jeff Zucker said, like, it's bad for the country, but it's good for our network, you know, right? But everybody knows that was a lie. And more of the tech industry and the, you know, big media conglomerates have just totally fallen in with Trump because that's where the money is. So, you know,
I think it's also acceleration. Like, everything terrible happening is accelerating.
I'm calling
and
it
so
audible.
Like, do it.
Yeah, do it.
But I think in the last 4 to 8 years, the media has gotten exponentially more owned by corporate interests than it was before.
Yep.
So where 4 years ago or 8 years ago, we saw the media starting to cover actual issues because it was Trump.
Right.
Now they're like, let's just soften Trump a little bit because we're going to say the public wanted all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really them serving the corporate interest because the public didn't want any of that stuff.
I mean, look at, like,
they want healthcare.
Yeah. They want healthcare. They want living wages, thriving wages. They want housing. They don't want war. Like, in none of these, you know, postmortem autopsies of what went wrong, they never talk about the fact that, you know, the war, like how close we are to the doomsday clock of midnight. They don't talk about Russia and Ukraine, which, you know, the Democrats just completely destroyed Ukraine to try to weaken Russia when there were deals on the table. And now it's just like, they just talk about the fact that, well, Ukraine's it's never going to be part of NATO, and they're going to have to get used to the idea that they're going to have to give up some territory. Whereas before it was verboten. You couldn't say any of that. I mean, think about it's almost like 500,000 Ukrainians have been killed. It's horrifying. And there were negotiations that were possible along the way. And Russia's economy is thriving. Europe is feeling the pinch. Like, this has been a huge disaster. And there's never going to be, nobody's going to pay for that. Doesn't matter. Then when they move on to the war, you know, the genocide in Gaza, nobody's paying for that. Like, you know, it just keeps on going. But yeah, the Democrats tacked right, made the George Floyd protests and defunding the police massively unpopular, and just gave more money to cops than even Trump. They got rid of COVID, just declared we won. It's over. We ended the pandemic, even though right now hospitals are at capacity because of a quadremic that we're having. And immigrants. There's now mass support on the Democratic side for getting rid of immigrants. Like, it's horrific, but that's, you know, everybody has tacked to the right because that's where the money is.
Yeah. Well, look, the immigration issue, their messaging led us to this. Like, the messaging that, hey, it's such an obvious issue. We understand as Democrats, here's a vile thing that you guys have wanted forever, and we're trying to do it because that's acknowledgement that this is such a problem. That's acknowledgement that we should blame immigrants. We should build that wall, all that stuff. And of course, the public takes takes their heat. They listen to the Democrats. They have, the public that watches CNN and MSNBC, they think these are the good guys. And if the good guys are saying it's a real problem and it's causing all this crime and we got to do something about it, then it must be true. So now you've changed public opinion, just like the Democrats went from with the George Floyd and all the police stuff. Like they turned public support was overwhelmingly majority for Black Lives Matter. And they
and
changed
now
that.
Chuck Schumer saying, look, it's the Republicans who are defunding the police.
It's bizarre world. What are we doing here?
Oh, come here. I'm gonna finally come here. Look. Oh, forget it.
Is this
All
Lucky?
Right. Yeah,
Get him
but
up here.
I know, but
her.
She's got I'm like this close to my green screen, so she doesn't have any room. She's like knocking it over, and she left. Oh well.
And she's gone.
Okay, so moving on right to some of the disgusting things that Trump is doing, right?
Sure. There's lots.
Detention camps. Come here, baby. Are you going to put it up for me?
Oh, you want me to? Yeah.
I'm trying to get Lucky to come here.
Video do we have video of the detention camps? Let me see. No.
I don't think so. I think it's just graphics.
Okay, I got it.
Got this.
Pet your dog.
All right.
You're multitasking. I can't even.
I'm a multitasker.
Push a button.
Guantanamo. Remember, wasn't Obama going to close Guantanamo? Wasn't that one of the campaign promises back in 2000?
Obama's was, Biden's was as well. Every Democrat runs on closing Guantanamo.
They kept it open. Yeah. We also have Trump canceling all special programs. I mean, this is, this is just like, I mean, I shouldn't say window dressing, but I just mean there's like more crucial policies and programs that are being and will be destroyed. But just to say, like, okay, we're just going to cancel Martin Luther King's birthday, no Black History Month, no Women's History Month, no Holocaust days or days of remembrance, no Pride Day, no Pride Month, no Juneteenth. Like, just
this whole thing.
This is just red meat for his gross bag.
Yeah, exactly. It's red meat for, oh, look, there's some racism. It's right there. Yeah. He did the racism. We elected him to do the racism. Check those boxes. But then it's also work more because these are not federal holidays. And this is get you to fucking work. I don't care about your silly little black leader. Go to work. Go to work.
Yeah. And then, okay, so Elon Musk had sent a memo out, the fork in the road memo to Twitter when he took over in 2022, giving like, hey, we need all hands on deck. We need everybody to like really sack up and put in your best. And if you can't do that, you can just, put in your resignation now. And it's a way of, trying to get rid of people and pare down. And basically, as Ken Klippenstein pointed out, the memo that he gave that was sent out to federal workers yesterday was very similar. It was also called a fork in the road, but basically telling people that they could tender their resignations now and still be paid, and then you'd be fired basically or terminated in 8 months. But these are, because this is part of the whole Doge thing is go now because we're probably going to end your government agency. And it's a way of when you force people to quit by making their lives miserable, that works out very well for the people who are paying your salaries. And
but
yeah, go ahead.
Well, none of it is about saving the federal government money. It's about saving the real estate costs, because what they want to do is have a workforce that has to go to work. And those properties are owned by Trump and his cronies and all the people who own real estate. And those, like, I've said this before, I'm an electrician, but I've got called to work at some federal, federal, state, I don't know. But either way, government agencies where there are like 2 people in the office and they own these 3 floors of this building and there's nobody there because they're working from home, which is what you should be doing during a pandemic, for one. And 2, it saves everybody money. Everybody's happier. It's overwhelmingly better for the business.
Betterly.
Whatever
I
it is.
like that. Betterly.
It's so betterly.
It's better.
I don't use your woke English grammar.
No, that's the
grammatical.
Adverb. The better adverb is betterly.
It's betterly.
But yeah, so that's the other thing, right? The edict is that there's no more work from home. That was another part of it.
Right. And that's the overriding component to this, to me, is that it's just all of his policies are, you got to go to work, because if you go to work, our buildings are worth money. That's transactional for Trump and his buddies.
Yeah. Get ready to work long and hard
hours. We're going to get rid of these
days
pesky
off.
Little health safety rules are gone there too.
Yep.
COVID protections are gone, obviously. Anything that keeps you from coming in and clocking in, we're going to get rid of that.
Yep. Meanwhile, this is my favorite new endeavor. Elon Musk is partnering up with Boeing to deliver Air Force One replacements faster, sooner, louder, harder. And we all know how that's going to end. How many billionaires do you think we can fit on Air Force One? A Boeing parts on Air Force One.
If it
you don't even need Luigi if you can just get them all on a jet plane.
If it costs the government $1 trillion, but Trump has a cool plane to fly around in, it's going to happen. So this is going to happen. This is
Boeing and fast. That's a combo that we've seen the results of. Interesting new study that wealth inequality risks triggering societal collapse within the next
What?
decade.
No way, dude. No, dude. If you watch CNN, I don't think
the warning comes from an expert roundtable led by researchers from King's and the Fairness Foundation. It's all bad and no part of it is getting better. Interesting. There were, I think, 200 businesses in the UK. Yeah. Have signed up for a permanent 4-day working week for all their employees with no loss of pay. I mean, it's really going to take people, it's going to take striking workers. It's going to take striking workers. And because of the Democrats' complicity in not securing and safeguarding some of the people on the National Labor Relations Board and Lena Khan, there's a lot less toothiness, a lot less teeth there to punish or give consequences to businesses that violate labor laws.
No, what Trump's doing is opening up. He's finishing the job that Democrats started, which is to remove protections for unions, which is to penalize people for not showing up to work because they have their little cute union cause. He's criminalizing protest because they want unions. They don't want unions to be a thing. It can hurt their economy at the top. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. And even though unions are overwhelmingly popular, they still don't have like a mass presence because we have a weakened labor board and enforcement, and they are, starved financially. And then now with Trump there and, Democrats completely fucking up on purpose, which was that whole Ro Khanna, thread about why they didn't secure one more Democrat on the NLRB, why they didn't secure Lena Khan for another couple of years. There's no weight to it. So all of these billionaires who the whole reason for AI, and this is, a funny little addendum to the DeepSeek thing, but, is to steal labor, steal creativity, data mine all of our output, and to not have to pay workers anymore, right? So that's the whole goal. That's the whole new social contract that Sam Altman was talking about that we're going to all have to get used to. And now OpenAI, which is Sam Altman's company, is complaining that DeepSeek stole, that it mined their data and took their intellectual property without, without their consent, just as they do for every single thing. And by the way, I mean, this is a separate deal, but I'm on iPhone, and there is like one overriding turn off AI that you can do for all your apps, or that you think that you've done for all your apps. But if you don't go through every single app you have and turn that off,
so that's
in
bullshit.
the setting. Yeah, exactly. You have to go into every app. So like,
this is important because you iPhone people think you're special.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that. iPhone people.
So there's the one general setting where you're like, yep, don't want to do AI. And then somebody on Twitter wrote, that you had to go through every app. And I went into my apps, we all have hundreds of apps. You have to do that on every individual app, your banking app, your photos, your messages, anything, Twitter, all of that, each one individually, you have to turn it off because again, if the product is free, you're the product. They are, so it's just so rich that Sam Altman and OpenAI are crying big old crocodile tears that they have their intellectual property stolen by DeepSeek, when that's their whole business model, is stealing all of our intellectual property.
Yeah, I mean, if this is another case of justice served, and kudos to China. And I'm not a pro-China communist, kind of like, hey, China's great. Like the people on Twitter who are like, China's perfect, like look into China some more. They're not perfect, but they do a lot of things well. They give their people health care. You can get an ambulance for nothing.
You can live in a house.
Basic life-saving shit is better there. But like this idea that they're, you don't have full free speech in China. Let's just stop pretending you do.
Yeah. And
but a lot of people, a lot of leftist podcasters are out there saying, look at how great China is, but good luck being a gay person in China, or like. Yeah.
I mean, I think what we end up seeing, like on Red Note and all that kind of stuff, are probably some of the, wealthier representations. So, but again, it's nice to have a cultural exchange and to look at some of the things that they do.
Red
and
Note.
We could pick and choose. I mean, I know you like, but like, be really nice to have a guaranteed housing and healthcare and food. And then even there's some towns where like everybody is collectively part of it. So if the town makes money at the end of the month or year, everybody gets a portion. Like there's some really fantastic ideas on how we could all be living at a different level. And what that would prevent are the Sam Altmans and the Elon Musks and all of these.
Yeah. And I mean, the beauty of this is twofold. It's like this brocialism thing, or what was the term?
Oligarchy.
Yeah. Like, with all these guys with tech cozying up to Trump, it is a farce that tech is like saving the world. Tech is the most evil industry there is right now. I mean, next to real estate, more or less, because real estate companies are why we have so many homeless people. It's just the cost of housing is just astronomical. So, but tech is the other thing. Tech is replacing jobs, and it's not replacing jobs because there's a benefit.
They want us all to like enjoy our lives
it's
more.
Just money. It's just money for the people at the top. That's it. And we're just all enabling it by using AI. So stop using AI. It's ramping up. It's escalating. The harm to the environment is astronomical. Like if you search on something on AI, it's like, I don't know the number, but it's 100.
The amount of water it takes to cool their data mining computers. Although what DeepSeek was saying is that they were able to do that with a fraction. I have no idea, but I mean, I don't know enough about any of it, but like, we don't even need, like, what do we need AI for? We haven't even had a social conversation, a democratic weigh-in on giving all of this money to tech billionaires to invest in AI that's only there to replace us. And that's like the focus of this administration, $500 billion to tech billionaires.
What AI is going to be used for we mentioned this last week, but my personal opinion, it's going to be used to replace a lot of jobs that are decision makers that have some humanity left in them to say we should accept that claim for healthcare. So that person is no longer, they know they're
liable, right?
Yeah, but they know they have a shitty job and they have to deny a claim, and they once in a while will fight for somebody and push the claim through regardless. But now you got AI that's going to automatically make a lot of fucking mistakes.
Right.
And so this transition period is what they love this part right now, because they're going to deny a bazillion claims. There's no pushback on it. There's no regulation on AI whatsoever. Our government has passed nothing to regulate AI at fucking all. Not one fucking piece of legislation.
Yep. And the last whistleblower to come forward and say that there were no safeguards and they were like copyright infringements were rampant.
Suicided.
Yeah, died by suicide. Okay. Moving on.
Sure.
Do you want to I don't know. Well, I mean, we got so much stuff and I don't even know where to go with this. Are we ready to leave domestic politics?
I mean, we can come back with some COVID stuff, I think, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we haven't talked about COVID.
We haven't talked about COVID for a while. Well, do you want to we can go the RFK. Okay, we'll do this and we can go through the RFK and then we'll go.
Yeah, we got to hit RFK because that guy's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, baby.
Sorry.
I am refilling and then, let me just fill again. Wait 1 second.
I do want to yell at RFK.
I know. I can't stand it. Here we go. Wait 1 second. Close and.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Okay. All right. Whoa. Finishing the bottle. Not letting it drip. Okay. I'm going to remove one just so we get to this.
Yeah, baby.
Timeline plan. Look at that.
All right. Unlike what was that guy with the last week with the music I made you suffer through? I forget, but the gnome or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
This is sort of wholesome. Cardboard races.
That's good. Low tech, high fun. Anybody can do it. Yeah, that's perfect. I love it. All right. So let's get into it. RFK. So Kelly Loeffler, what's her name? With her blowout, who went down to the border. She was passed. Rubio was passed. Everybody's passing. The last two big high profile cabinet picks are Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. So RFK Jr. was today, just to set it all up. So which who do you want to start with?
We should talk about whether we think he's going to pass, because I need to make a prediction.
I think he's going to pass.
Okay.
Wow. All right. I'm going to write a comedy set for you.
Let's do it. No notes on comedy, Lila. God damn it. That was our last fight. Let's do it.
All right. Which one do you want to show first?
They're all awful. Let's start with Bernie. Why not?
All right. Am I hitting? All right.
Agree with me that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a human right. Yes? No?
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
Health care a human right. Is health care a human right?
In the way that free speech is a human right?
Yeah.
I would say it's different because if with free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer, you are now taking from the pool. Well, and so are you guaranteed the same right, or is there also a duty?
I'm sorry. I'd love to talk for an hour with you. We got a few minutes left here. All right.
I mean, I have to say, like, I would have loved him talking to his friend Joe like that.
Right.
I mean,
on the Bernie side, yes. On the RFK side, like, oh, you're overweight. We shouldn't give you health care.
Oh, yeah. Like, you smoked, you're overweight. You did, what did he do? Heroin? Like, I mean, his
family basically disowned him. If you've known people that have done a lot of hard drugs, it changes their brain at some point, sometimes, not always, obviously. But this guy went off the deep end with his bullshit, and drugs are probably a big part of it. And here he is, like, denying healthcare, like, not a human right.
Not a human right. Just like Biden, like, it was an insult to his son who died of brain cancer, and he had to borrow money from Obama to help with the treatments. And it'd be an insult to him, to his dead son, to let
everyone had healthcare.
Like, I mean, I appreciate that kind of grilling. I wish it I wish it happened for everybody. Like, I will not endorse my good friend Joe if he doesn't answer this question. Is healthcare a human right?
And Bernie, if healthcare is a human right, is not dying of COVID a human right? When you have protections you could have lobbied for and put in place,
right?
I mean, you are in front of the whole world as the chair of the
mask. All right. Let's see the next one. Not impressed. Not impressed.
Okay, Bennett. Here's Bennett going at him, which I hate to root for Democrats, but both these guys are pretty good grilling RFK because he's so easy to get.
Yeah.
Did you say that COVID-19 was a genetically engineered bioweapon that targets black and white people, but spared Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people?
I didn't say it was deliberately targeted. I just quoted an NIH-funded and NIH published study.
Did you say that it targets black and white people but spared Ashkenazi Jews?
I quoted a study, Your Honor. I quoted an NIH study that showed that
I'll take that as a yes. I have to move on, I have to move on. Did you say that Lyme disease is highly likely a materially engineered bioweapon? I made sure I put in the highly likely. Did you say Lyme disease is a highly likely militarily engineered bioweapon?
I probably did say that.
Did you say that?
And that's what the developer of Lyme
I want all of
disease
our
said.
colleagues to hear it, Mr. Kennedy. I want them to hear it. You said yes. Did you say that exposure to pesticides causes children to become transgender?
No, I never said that.
Okay, I have the record that I'll give to the chairman, and he can make his judgment about what you said. Did you write in your book, and it's undeniable, that African AIDS is an entirely different disease from Western AIDS? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
I'm not sure if I made that.
Okay, I'll give it to the chairman, Mr. Kennedy. And my final question, did you say on a podcast, and I quote, "I wouldn't leave abortion to the states. My belief is we should leave it to the woman. We shouldn't have the government involved, even if it's full term." Did you say that, Mr. Kennedy?
Senator, I believe that every abortion is a tragedy.
Did you say it, Mr. Kennedy? This matters. It doesn't matter what you come here and say that isn't true, that's not reflective of what you really believe, that you haven't said over decade after decade after decade, because unlike other jobs we're confirming around this place, this is a job where it is life and death for the kids that I used to work for in the Denver public schools and for families all over this country that are suffering from living in the richest country of the world that can't deliver basic health care and basic mental health care to them. It's too important for the games that you're playing, Mr. Kennedy. And I hope my colleagues will say to the president, I have no influence over him. I hope my colleagues will say to the president, out of 330 million Americans, we can do better than this.
Okay, I have a question. Sorry, God, I just saw my face frozen like that because I'm like trying to think. What was the abortion line of attack there?
So
Because,
this is why I think he's I think that's the off ramp for people that realize he's a dangerous.
Republicans will be upset with him
Right.
about
So
that.
if they realize he's a danger to actual society that can affect them at some point,
right?
This is their off ramp, abortion. Because a year ago he was sort of like, well, when he ran as a Democrat, when he started
I agree with leaving it to, like, it really bothers me to see a Democrat try to peg him on that and say it like that was a bad thing. Because obviously he wasn't I'm at 20 or whatever, 35 weeks. And
but the reason he did that, Bennett, right there, is to give all the Republicans, like, they can say, I really like his logic and thinking on all these issues, but I don't trust him on abortion.
Yeah.
So that's the off ramp.
I wish he had phrased it differently because he made it sound like he's against that part of it. I don't love hearing it like that from a Democrat because I feel like Democrats have been so squishy on their support, but I hear what you're saying on that.
That's what he was doing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, like, this is not a clear call to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you play the video back next week.
Well, I don't know enough about Bennett's stance.
But the reason
I just want to know,
the reason it's not a clear call to me, because I think he would get rejected in most worlds, in this scenario, knowing how bad he actually is the Republicans mostly know he's a whack job.
Right.
They mostly know he's a whack job.
Right.
But what he brings to the table is putting in place things that will help their workers get to work, and all the pro labor stuff. I mean, the pro corporate interest stuff that harms labor. They're like, I love that shit.
Right.
But he's also really actually fucking dangerous for society, like my kids and everybody around me. So we'll see where that plays out. But I think that abortion is the off ramp.
Okay, so that's why. So you think he's not going to make it?
If I had to pick, I'm like 60-40. He's not in. But honestly, it's a coin flip because I think there are a lot of things in play here.
Yeah. The thing that might prevent him isn't, for me, I mean, they might use abortion as the reason, but it's that if he is serious about getting rid of pesticides and red dyes and, chemicals and like truly are toxic food.
Is actual danger to the corporate interest because you're like the red dye manufacturer are none. He's a phony. He's a fucking total dipshit.
Okay. I don't think that's true.
I think it is true.
I don't think it's true.
You're wrong. I'm
wrong. I don't think it's true. We'll see. I will write a comedy set for you that you'll have to perform. No. I think that the reason that there are so many people attacking him. Listen, his stance on vaccines aren't that different from most Republicans. Half the Republicans, a lot of, lefty liberals for a while were anti-vaccine, right? It's that the harm to big pharma and big ag, like, to me, that's where he poses a problem for the deep state or the people who are, pulling the strings.
Yeah, I don't know. So that becomes into this war of stockholders, basically.
Yeah.
Pharma stockholders versus corporate real estate stockholders. And at the end of the day, Trump's a corporate real estate guy.
Yeah.
So if it's not, I can't call it. This is a coin flip. But.
And obviously, Trump chose Elon Musk over Vivek, right? And
but I do think with the allegiance to Trump being an issue and having to pick their fights, I think they realize they would rather get Tulsi in there and let this guy go.
I don't know that that's true because I think that the deep state is even more worried about her. I mean, they lie so much about her.
But she's so full of shit that
of course she is, but like
they own her. Like she's like the Kamala Harris of those floppers. Like they know
she
can
although
just
she's
go
had
in
some,
front of people and say some shit, and she doesn't believe it, and they know it. And behind the doors, they talk to her, and they're like, "Yeah, you're going to be on board for all the wars. Yeah, on all the wars."
right. So then why are
So
they
want
why
her.
are they lying about her? Like, why do they lie about her, and why do they lie about like Edward Snowden? Why do they lie about her being a Putin puppet? Like, I don't know. I think
It'll be interesting. I don't know.
I'm
I don't know either.
less
I'm just
sure about her making it than RFK, but who knows?
I don't know either. I don't know either, but I know they would probably rather have somebody they can control in her position than this position.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like that's the war machine, there's more money there than any of the other spots.
Right.
So if they don't know behind closed doors that she's all in for whatever wars they want, she's not even going to get nominated. And that's why she's nominated.
Yeah. I have a feeling they're both going to make it.
They might. I'm not saying they won't, but
yeah. I mean, I think they're clearly neither one of them has the integrity to stand behind the policies they pretend to have at certain times. So, like early on, RFK was asked about, his whole career that gave him sort of like lefty cred was he was pro climate, pro environment, anti, toxins and when he was asked, and I can't even remember whom he was asked by, but, well, what sort of, are you pro Green New Deal? What sort of policies do you think the government should, this was when he was running as a candidate in its own right, the government should come in to, regulate so that we can combat climate change. He's like, I haven't really thought about it on that level, which was a really strange response from somebody who seriously the only thing on the left to me that he was at all credible on before that response was that he took climate disaster seriously.
Yeah. And
so they're
look,
completely, malleable.
He is malleable, but I will give you credit somewhat. I hate to do this. This is sad.
God, I love it. Press record,
but you're right.
Everybody.
You're right in one sense that he is sort of like a true believer conspiracy guy. Like that's true. So like he really does buy into a lot of his bullshit.
Yeah.
But all the bullshit he buys into is so dangerous that I think he's recognized as this conspiracy fuck.
Right.
And in his own life, his elitism with the bear shit and all the stories that he's done recently, and
he reminds me of Hunter Biden.
To Roseanne Barr with the bear story, and
I know that was
that
horrible.
makes him like the Trumpers sort of love that shit, but at the same time, I think a lot of the elite Republicans who really don't like the Trumper shit, other than it benefits them, are like he might be a bridge too far for them.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of. That's where, if he isn't, we're really fucked, and we might be really fucked. But I
don't feel like we're any more fucked with him than we were with, the people who led the beating COVID under Biden. So I mean, I agree with you. I think he's horrible, but I don't have. I know you hate him more, but you are more vocal about your hatred of him than you are of some of the other people that I know you also don't like. But yeah. Oh wow. I just have to say, and then because I do think it's really interesting, all the former Democrats who have gone to Trump. But I just want to say that people are really taking notice, Pat.
I can't block fast enough.
One of the problems, is that with all of these different, with Lyme disease, with COVID, with all of these, possible bio warfare, pathogens that have escaped the labs, I would like some sunlight on that. I want to know, I take it to, I don't even, I don't know that I'm not saying, and I don't even believe that it was done on purpose. But first of all, if there's even a chance that Lyme or, the outbreak of Ebola in whatever it was, 2008 in Africa, or COVID escaped from a lab. We need way stricter regulations that Fauci and Trump can't get around to finance these labs, right? Like, I would like some real focus on that, because 30 million people worldwide have been killed by COVID, and there's no end in sight at this point. Right? Like, I
don't disagree with you on that wish, right?
Yeah.
But have you ever known a conspiracy theorist who took in the information and then changed his view or redirected his thoughts and energies in the public to something else? No, their whole life is about defending their whole life is about defending the positions they bring to the table already, which is this hard believed crazy shit that they've calcified in their brain. It's locked in, the neural networks are hardened, it's done. So this is the way it is. That's how conspiracy theorists functions.
Yeah. And the same people who believe it's a biowarfare agent that was released even on purpose aren't wearing masks. So it's like,
right. So when we are facing all these pandemic issues that are critical,
right,
you can't have a guy like him in charge who is going to deflect and ignore and find a rationale.
More vitamin D and
like that can't
exercise.
That all these things can't be true that I'm hearing from all my federal agencies, because I know that shedding is the thing.
Right.
You know, and that guy's he's gonna kill all of us. Like, he's the biggest sack of shit. I can't imagine a worse person. I don't know how you could do more harm than putting him in charge of this office.
Okay,
I cannot to the public.
I will tell you what does more harm is saying you believe in science and telling people COVID's just a cold, take off your mask, go back to work, so that half the country now thinks that.
Yes, there will be opposition to him because of his vaccine theory,
right?
And the fact that Democrats put their whole life into the vaccines or everything, right? You know, so I agree that it's worse to be the person that's supposed to save us and you're not saving us.
Yeah.
As the Democratic leaders are. But at the same time, the harm that this guy's going to cause by ignoring all these future pandemics is worse than anything, you know, it's just,
I mean, it's
all bad either way.
It's just so bleak. Yeah. It's just absolutely bleak. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, let's finish up COVID really quickly. And then I do feel like we should talk about Israel, because we've not. And I think it's like Israel. Yeah, Israel, Gaza, Palestinians. Sorry. Okay.
All right. COVID, still, 800 plus a week dying, which is
not 967. Sorry. 967. Like almost 1,000 dying, like every week, almost of this whole past year. Sorry, I didn't, but like, that's a lot of people.
I was just looking at the average, but like,
no, I know, but like, what the fuck? Nobody's even talking about it. Sorry, go ahead.
The point is this is the only thing that normie Democrats and media ever focused on was the death count. And that hasn't really fucking changed this whole time. So that part, but the more important part is how many people are being disabled with long COVID and other illnesses, and the fact that this is some version of immune deficiency, and it's wrecking everybody's system. And other diseases, it's so obvious. The science is clear now. Pretending that it's not. We have a whole disabled workforce now. This disability, people working with a disability.
16 years and over.
How is this okay?
And again, this is like the inherent contradiction of capitalism, because who's going to work? I mean, this is why AI is going to be so effective. But once you have AI, like, okay, who's buying your products? And okay, good news, because the US doesn't make anything anymore. You don't need to buy products. We all own each other, or they all own each other's companies, and they just make money. Jesus Christ. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And our population is so many people are homeless that it doesn't even matter. And we're not going to put any money in social programs. So
prisons.
What is our society going to look like?
A lot of incarcerated workers. That's what it's going to be.
Incarcerated workers is the future.
we make prisons, and that's basically it. We don't do schools. We make prisons. We criminalize poverty. We make everybody poor. We criminalize poverty. Pat's taken off. He's done. It's too negative
I'm
for
on?
him. No,
What
I know.
happened?
Yeah, I know. And
What
I was
happened?
like, oh, what's going on? I look so like angry.
I wasn't
Yeah.
even trying to leave. I was actually trying to open my beer. And can I just say, we can't even make a beer opener that works. My tab broke. What the fuck? What is this
No
country?
way. So what
China,
are you gonna
China
do?
can make a better beer. I'll
Wait.
just grab another one. I have more.
But
beer.
you got it. But you can't just take like the back of a knife and just like.
I can, but I have to grab my tools, so I don't want to do that.
Okay.
The show must go on, Lila.
All right. Okay. Show going on. This is in hospitals, and this is crazy to me because in hospitals where nobody's wearing masks, the astonishing difference in burden of secondary bacterial infections after COVID versus the flu. And so it's way too small to see down there. Sorry, I should have done that bigger. But on the left, it's COVID. And these are infections acquired in the hospital after getting COVID or having COVID, but also a lot of acquired COVID in the hospital because nobody's wearing masks or testing. And on the right, it's the flu. And some of these infections kill you. Like that's actually the highest death in hospitals is by hospital acquired infections. So not
It's
great.
so clear that, look, when you get a cold or any sort of thing that taxes your immune system is not primed for a second thing to hit it, right? And that's why you could have a cold, be in the hospital and get some disease and die, right? It happens. It's just the way your immune system works. But what COVID is showing is COVID is totally different because COVID not only weakens you because your immune system is fighting this thing, it harms your immune system, period, across all spectrums of these areas. So it's not the same at all as just sort of like, well, he got something when he was sick. No, he got the thing that made him weak in these other areas. So he died because he got the thing that caused your immune system to be weak. And it's not like a cold is like a week or two of your immune system being weak, where COVID is, you've got like 6 months, a year, possibly the rest of your life where your immune system is fucked.
It's in all of your tissues. They're finding it in your bone marrow. They're finding it especially in your GI tract. Young people are getting colon cancer and gastrointestinal cancers because and actually in China I know we've talked about this for a couple of years now. They've been using aid therapy drugs to combat people with long COVID and COVID because of how similar it is. But here we don't even like test your different levels for, I mean, I'm so bad with all this, but your white blood cell levels, your different counts, but that's where it's headed. And there were some scientists who very early on said how similar this was to an acquired immunodeficiency, which is AIDS, right? So, and this is airborne, and we're just letting it fly. And
the fact that our media is ignoring all these studies that are just they're ignoring it all because they know their interests are the corporate interests that want you to work.
Yep.
If they were doing their job, they would say, you know what? Good news. Japan developed what looks like potentially a what's it called?
A nasal vaccine that would prevent COVID.
What's the word I'm looking for though? But
sterilizing.
A sterilizing vaccine, which means it actually prevents the spread. So if you get this vaccine, shoot it in your nose, you don't spread it. That's how you ultimately kill a disease, right? So Japan is not. It needs to be tested. It's going to be forever. We may have to be.
We've even heard about that in Texas. Like what we heard about it like 6 months ago that at some university in Texas they had really good luck with that, and then it just disappears. I don't know if it's funding or what. But
but the thing with that is like, okay, a lot of these stories are sensational, and you need to study, you need double-blind studies, you need to repeat it, blah blah blah, and it does this in mice, but it doesn't go to pigs, and of course. But the point is, he's going to keep us. he's going to keep us as far from any fucking solution as possible because he doesn't believe in anything new. His views on vaccines are ridiculous.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm stuck.
No, I mean, I agree with all of it. And then just like going back, even if you don't want the vaccines, but switching to an N95 mask gives a 75 times boost in protection against COVID. Like,
yeah.
I'm
sorry, but masks,
it's just the most simple.
They don't totally 100,000% work.
Nothing does.
But honestly, if you have a tight seal, just, when you buy your mask and it's folded in half, unfold it, flatten it, bend it around your nose, and you wear it, you're not going to get a lot of regular air in, especially if you're just in a store for an hour or, you had an hour of something and you have a decent seal. If you get a little bit of the seal broken, you get a little bit of COVID. The science shows that they think that's good. Like, it's not.
I mean, viral load, like all the things that we talked about at the beginning, right? Like the reinfection rates. Remember Angela Merkel talking to her public like a real person and saying, when we get the R1, when it's under R1, when the reinfections, because it's all exponential. We talked about viral load. We talked about the bubble and whoever you were with. You also have to think about who they're with. Like all of those things we talked about just completely were taken off the table. But yes, wearing a mask is,
but they work. So, at least that's something to take comfort in. But like the media should be saying that to the public. Like, hey, COVID's really bad, but we've learned so much about masks. Here's why they work. Here's a little stupid video that's 30 seconds long that shows you why they work.
It's science.
Why this whole particle, like,
the
size of a particle is too big, too small to get through a mask, But the media has put no effort into explaining this to the public. And politicians have done none of it because they just want you to go to fucking work.
Yeah.
And the masks remind them that there's an actual pandemic. And then so they can't have masks being a thing, even though it would solve their problems as well. But they're hoping AI catches up fast enough to offset the labor force that's disabled and not coming to work.
Yeah.
And then the people affected by that policy, they don't give a fuck about. And Trump is removing all protections for them. So they're just going to die on the street.
Or best case scenario, they'll be arrested for living on the street, go to one of the private prisons that rakes in hundreds of millions, and then be used for slave labor to fight our
until they die in their labor camp, which has the prisons have no protections for COVID as well. So everybody, it's just you're going to get hustled off to this prison, make some license plates, fight some fires, die from COVID that you got there. And next, moving on. Because we're not woke, Dems. Democrats are not woke. We don't want to fight for that shit.
It is interesting to me. Yeah. I mean, it's like Forbes, The Economist, Business Insider, the actuarial tables of the insurance industry. They are very aware of how this is going to play out and the financial burden it's going to be. But now we are in a quademic, which is flu, COVID, RSV, and norovirus. So and still in this, they show her with a surgical mask.
And I don't think that had bird flu on it. Was bird flu listed there?
No, we're not even talking about bird flu
yet. Cinquedemic or something.
Yeah.
Cinque. Depends on your
Cinque. Okay. Just because we don't have a lot of time and we have not given it much time, I think it's really important that we talk about what
Israel.
Trump was able to accomplish, even though, listen, he's one of the biggest, receivers of money from AIPAC and pro-Israel groups. We know Miriam Adelson gave him $100 million to promise that he would allow, which it looks like it's what's happening right now, the West Bank to be resettled. He got he has gotten $230 million from AIPAC.
Who hasn't?
Yeah. Who here amongst us? Netanyahu is coming to the White House. This is internationally recognized war criminal who has warrants out for his arrest. And he's coming to the White House in February, where, you know, the last time he came to speak to Congress, Democrat, it was a bipartisan effort to give him standing ovations every time he, you know, said something horrifying about Israel being our best defense against terrorism.
In a just world, he shows up and goes right to The Hague. They just they film it all, throw him in a plane and say, this is a disgusting episode that the U.S. wants to separate itself from.
Yep.
The ICC, the ICJ. We've all he's
put him on that rush job Boeing.
Yeah, let's separate ourselves from this.
Yeah. So this, you know, so there's been a ceasefire, although Israel has continued killing people in Gaza. They've shot at people and killed people in Gaza. They have certainly now just turned most of their efforts towards the West Bank. They're doing the exact same thing in the West Bank that they started doing in Gaza over a year ago. They are just bulldozing, bombing, killing people, giving them evacuation orders. There has been a 83-day ceasefire in Lebanon where Israel continues to slaughter people. This is what this is what Rafah looks like now. Every store, every home, every cafe, everything has been completely demolished. So, I mean, there are estimates it's going to take 300 years to get rid of the toxins in the air and the ground. And even if the whole world came together to help rebuild, you know, people are finding bodies under the ground. There are hundreds of thousands of people who have not been accounted for. So this is what.
And look at what society looks like here now. And for the Democrats to run on, oh, do you want Trump to finish the job?
Yeah, it's just, but they didn't speak up at all when this was happening. And those are ambulances, you know, some of these, like we're seeing ambulances. So this is, you know, what people are returning to now. I will say that Steve Witkoff, who is Trump's emissary, who came in and, you know, forced Netanyahu to abandon his Shabbat services and come do a deal and the hardliner, whatever, it's all so horrific because obviously the genocide continues. It's just shifted to the West Bank. The fact that Democrats are not fighting against, you know, Netanyahu coming to the White House or to Congress, I mean, I guess it's just, you know, what
they're not even
say at this point. What do they were fine with it 6 months ago.
There's nothing expected from them on this, which is
why. What could they possibly say?
It's just there's no hope for any change in policy at all in the Middle East. I mean,
no. There are some glimmers of action. There's the Hind Rajab Foundation, which is so. It was actually a year ago today that Hind Rajab was killed after 6 hours of being in the car with her family, who had all been slaughtered, dead around her, and she called their emergency services and was on the phone saying she was scared. Her family was all dead, scared of the dark. They had her on the phone. It's a heartbreaking phone call as you hear her talking to the emergency services, as they say they're coordinating the EMT people to come, coordinating with Israel, letting them know we are trying to extricate this one little 5-year-old girl. And then Israel, the IDF shot like 300 bullets into the car and killed her and the EMT workers who were coming to save her. So that was a year ago today. And recently a foundation, which we've talked about before, has been set up, and they are now, it's like the new Nazi hunters. They are hunting any IDF soldiers and committers of genocide. So, so far they haven't arrested anybody, but it has forced Israeli society and the head of IDF and Israel to give guidance for their soldiers on how they have to conduct themselves, and that they probably shouldn't journey to certain countries. One of which being New Zealand, which is because
here,
a lot
New
of
Zealand.
here New Zealand, a lot of IDF or many countries have people who have dual citizenship, or even just citizens who enlisted, which is such a strange occurrence, but to fight in another country's military. And so New Zealand is now requiring Israelis to disclose IDF service details as a condition for entry. So their immigration authority has begun to require that Israelis applying for a visa have to report the details of their military service. And I think the more things like that happen, the better. But in the meantime, I don't know. It just seems like there's nobody. There's
no coverage now because it's like Trump in his first term do an evil thing, it gets glossed over by the next evil thing, and so Trump's 100 executive orders that were all fucking evil kind of put everybody to sleep. And who's going to resist it when the Democrats supported the same policy in Palestine? And
yeah, that was
just
definitely
awful. And
bipartisan.
I wish I had some view of hope there, but I don't.
Sorry, but that's horrific. Jen just wrote that American Airlines jet just crashed mid-air with a Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac.
That's interesting. Wow. I'm curious to see who was on that flight.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, the Holocaust International Memorial Day for Holocaust, which was yesterday, which was, obviously horrific, never again, but should be for everybody. And I am so grateful to anybody who's protesting, but especially, we raise a glass to Holocaust survivors who recognize what's being done in their name by Israel, which is such an abomination. Obviously the first abomination is to commit genocide in the first place, but to use Judaism and the Holocaust as some kind of shield against the horrors you're committing on a daily basis is next level. And Norman Finkelstein has written extensively on the Holocaust industrial complex, basically, and that's worth checking out because it does damage to all of us, just to our humanity, to use an atrocity to cover for your current atrocities. Yeah.
Before we move on, I think AI kind of like the evils of AI are on display regarding Israel.
Yeah.
So when asked,
because it's programmed by people, right? Yeah.
It's people and views, and it's just scrubbing shit.
Yep.
But what it's scrubbing is that, okay, you can't save these people, move them to Egypt. You should move them to Egypt. Egypt should take these people in. But oh my God, move them to a white country, and oh my God, ChatGPT doesn't want that. Like, that would be awful. You can't just pick these people up and move them.
Yeah. So what that's showing it, right, is the difference if you ask basically about ethnically cleansing Palestinians, and it gives you a whole sort of, like qualified response about
it's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated. And yes, you probably should, because it's very difficult. And, it's that whole sort of like response. Whereas when you ask about Israelis, it's a very clear-cut response. No, the suggestion to forcibly relocate an entire population, such as Israel's, to another location like Greenland is not practical, ethical, or feasible. We don't have this right now, but we had it last week, and then we had to remove it because we didn't have enough space, and we should have brought it back. But it was interesting because the difference between Chat GPT about that and DeepSeek juxtaposition was showing about ethnically cleansing Palestinians, the ChatGPT version versus DeepSeek. And DeepSeek was a no for Palestinians. It had a very similar response to the response there for Israelis. But what that shows, obviously, I mean, as we all know, but, AI is only as good as the people who programmed it in the first place, right?
Well, it's a combination of programming and scrubbing popular views, pitched on the internet, right? So it's just like, what does the internet generally think about this? Here are some ways to consider it. Well, that just shows how Israel has been able to implant all this Hasbara and misinformation to change people's, shape people's views. Like they've dominated the discourse with their, and so AI is taken into effect. It's taken into its calculation what the mainstream sources think. And we are, as the people, a small factor in that compared to the mainstream sources. So like, if it wasn't programmed by people who want a certain narrative, it would just look at all the people, and the people support Palestine overwhelmingly in this situation. But AI is not going to give you that view.
Yeah.
Which is why it's reason 1000. It's fucking dangerous.
It is dangerous. And we're going to have to do a show just on AI and the damages and also what it's taking from all of us. But the recent development is that it's learned how to lie. And that's interesting. I don't know. I don't understand. Yeah.
That last post was a lie,
Yes, that last post is a lie. But if you're taking from mass media of, corporate media,
it knows it's not presenting the right
but
response.
This was actually changing the response, knowing what the person asking the question wanted to hear in order to get away with something, which, listen, I would really love a democratic discussion about why we need AI in the first place, which we have not had, as we are just funneling hundreds of billions of dollars to these horrific, awful people whose sole ambition in life is to not have to pay us for our content, which is our brains and our art and our thoughts.
AI is not making anybody's life easier. It's making people wealthier. It's not helping me and you. It's at some point it's going to be the next phase is you're going to call businesses and talk to AI. We're already seeing that, right? You're going to talk to AI.
Pretty much already doing that at this point.
Right. So those are jobs. They're gone. It's frustrating for you. It's frustrating for everybody. And they're jobs. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's coming. But show me the benefit other than, I could make a video of Trump being I can make Trump gay and kiss Putin or, something, like great.
But it's also that thing that David Graeber was talking about, the bullshit jobs, that if we went back and was like, why aren't we producing anything? Why do we have all these middle management people? Why do we have health insurance in the first place? Like, why do we have these sorts of jobs that do nothing except it makes most of our lives worse, but it makes more money for the people at top. We should have, we need to combat that also.
Yeah, obviously you could use this technology in a good way if you had a healthy society and healthy boundaries in place for how to use this stuff, but we don't. And so what that means is this stuff is going to be incorporated rapidly to do evil things that harm us, because you can't sue a fucking AI system.
Yep.
You can't, you know,
Yep.
And it's just going to be roadblocks to you getting healthcare, roadblocks to you getting everything that you want. It's like, oh, talk to AI. Oh, you don't like AI Lucy? Here's AI Joe.
Yeah.
You know, oh, let me escalate. That's my manager, AI fucking Tracy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like the Pete Buttigieg who said, like, well, what are we going to do if we do Medicare for all? You're going to get rid of all of those jobs of people who are in the insurance industry, right? What's he saying about AI? Because AI is going to get rid of all those people and we still won't have healthcare. But like he made it seem like that was a thing, like Hillary Clinton saying, oh, even if you, disrupt the banks and make them not monopolies, that's not going to solve racism, right? Like we need to get to the root of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they're pushing so hard that AI, this concept that AI is going to cause fix diseases and things like that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be more displaced from your job because of AI, which means you need more social safety net and healthcare, but you don't have it. So they counter that with this whole like, but healthcare and AI is going to infuse, and we're going to fix cancer, and you're going to have all these cures that are personalized to you.
Moonshot,
but you can't afford that because they're not given by the government. So the only one who's going to benefit from some AI personalized cancer treatment is rich people.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
meanwhile,
us.
they're going to get all of our blood samples and
we're studies for them to help them.
If the product is free, you're the product. All right. It is 7:16. We really adore you guys. This is so much. Fun. I don't know, fun because we talk about such horrific things, but it is cathartic, and it is such a feeling of solidarity to get to spend these times with you. So thank you all. We really, really appreciate it. And and we put this up there. Kimmy, thank you. Love and solidarity to you. Thank you for the super chat. I'm so glad we put that up there because my brain isn't functioning totally, and we would have forgotten to say something. Oh my goodness, my problems. And we will be back on Sunday with our shit show. Do you have anything else to say before we go out, Pat?
Keep fighting, keep punching up. I don't know. That seems like our tagline. So let's just go with that.
Keep punching up. As much as we said that this is not obviously a unadulterated happy moment, the return to Gaza, because of the destruction and horrors that people are finding as they return, and as some of them are still being shot at, and it's just unbearable. But there is some joy, and the idea that people want to go back to their land. This is their land. They deserve to be there, and you're never going to take that from them. So cheers to the people making this insane journey back to the destruction that awaits them, to their homes. We'll see you guys all on Sunday. Cheers. Keep punching up.